However, in the 8th district, the Republican congressman has chosen to retire from the House. There's been times when people have tried to get him out. Fortunately, he's gone, and it's leaving a free-for-all as to who's going to take that seat. The Constitution Party needs a strong proponent in Washington, D.C. And I can't think of a better person to be that person than Mark Rawles. Mark?
Amen.
It's your
Short guy. It'd be nice if I were 6'2" or so and dark haired and everything. Probably my speech would be more effective. But I'm sorry, I'm a little short guy. But I do have a big heart. But before I begin, I want to thank everybody involved in having this meeting. Jerry, appreciate y'all for helping select the food. Mike, I appreciate you. You know I appreciate you because I bug you all the time. And I'm one of them guys that if I like you, I'm going to bother you a lot. If I don't like you, I'm not going to say anything to you. But I do like you. So I want to thank you all for your part in putting this together. And I want to present a couple things to some people that when I first became involved with the Constitution Party, I listened to them. They didn't realize I was listening to them, but I listened to them very carefully. And I feel like they have been the bedrock of the Constitution Party for at least as long as I've been involved with it. So I have a couple of things I want to give away here. I wish it were a lot of money, Darrell, but unfortunately, I don't have a lot of money to give you. But Joan, I thought about you when I saw this nice sleeping shirt. Okay? If anybody read that, it says, America the Beautiful is still one nation under God.
Amen.
I want you to have it. And Darrell, so that you know that there are those whose passion for the Constitution Party is as strong as yours. Okay? I wanted to give you a copy. This was a 30-minute video. Last November, right before Thanksgiving, we of the 8th District had a turkey shoot to celebrate the Second Amendment of our Constitution. We had some older folks, we had some younger folks. They all came to help us celebrate it. And I want to give you a copy of this. It's about 30 minutes long. And I think you'll enjoy it because it has some real down-to-earth, real folks. You know, I don't need to tell anyone in this room that our nation is in crisis. I think we all already know that. As a matter of fact, I had one lady in Memphis told me that, well, that's nothing new. I said, well, okay. I said, okay. But what about the solutions? She said, I don't know. Anyhow, our nation is in crisis. We all know that. Now, we can think about that. We can say, okay, let me just say that for all of you who believe that our nation is in crisis, because we have taken the big G, God, out of our government, and for those of you who believe it's because our economy is dwindling, and for those of you who believe it is because our national leaders have traded, sold, and regulated away our country, you are all correct. All of you are correct. You see, there's not a single problem that exists there are multiple problems that exist. And when I hear Republicans say, well, these are the problems, and I hear Democrats say, well, these are the problems, and I say, hey, you're both right. Because they are both right. So how did it happen? What happened? How in the world how did we become so polarized in our country? How did we become so polarized? Well, I thought about it, and I think I figured it out. Okay? You see, what's happened is that the Republican national leaders, they are blaming the Democrats for all the compromises that they've had to make over the last 30 plus years. Okay? And the Democrats, they're blaming the Republicans for all the compromises they've had to make over the last 30 years. Again, they're both right. You see, there's a difference between compromise and honorable compromise. Compromise is you want this and I want that, so I'll give you part of what you want, and you give me part of what I want. Honorable compromise is that we take into consideration not only what you want and what I want, but what is going to be the collateral effect on all the people if you get what you want and I get what I want. And that's what our leaders have forgotten. They have forgotten the difference between compromise and honorable compromise. Good. Now, so when I think about going to Washington, I said, well, okay, how do I awaken my fellow legislators in Washington? How do I make them realize that this is a difficult task? Let me tell you, it's a difficult task to get people past their egos. Okay? I mean, it's really a difficult task, but it can be done. It really can be done. So how do I get them past it? Well, the first thing I've got to do is convince them that for the last 30 years, they've been doing something that they should have never done. Now that may be difficult too. But you see, the fact is that our Republican national leaders have been trading and selling away our country. Our Democrat national leaders, they've been regulating and giving it away. Okay? I mean, that's reality. Okay? Now, so how did that happen? Well, again, it all goes back to something George Washington said 230 years ago. George Washington made a great profound statement that unfortunately most of the people don't know, and definitely not our national leaders don't know. He said, when the minority can dictate to the majority, our republic will fall. Now, what's been going on for the last 30 plus years? Every piece of legislation, not every, but and that's an exaggeration, but most of the legislation that's coming out of our federal government has benefited one minority or another. Now, he didn't mean, George Washington didn't mean the minority of race or the minority of gender. He meant overall. He meant that, hey, once they're, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? But it's been happening for 30 years. Our leaders keep looking at this minority's needs or that minority's needs, and they're forgetting the concept of honorable compromise. They're not looking at what is the overall effect on all the people. All the people. Now, I understand that. I've thought about that for a long, long time. I read the Constitution. I'm not an attorney, okay? But I read the Constitution very carefully. It's not that complicated. But everybody wants to make it that complicated, again, so they can twist and turn and ignore it. But it's really not. So then, what can we do? Well, there's three things that, I talked about the problems we have. There are three things that have to happen if we're going to save the greatness of our nation. First, we've got to reduce the size and scope of our federal government. Its size is overwhelming our economy. We've got $19 trillion of debt. And its scope is oppressing our people. Then we've got to rewrite our foreign trade agreements. No nation can survive with $750 billion, that's trillion with a T, okay, of trade deficit. And you certainly can't employ your people adequately, with almost $1 trillion of trade deficit. And the third thing is, we must make our national leaders understand and respond in their lawmaking and in their discussions that in a constitution-based democratic republic, which is what we are supposed to be, that the people are and must always be the sovereignty. It's not the leaders who are the sovereignty, it's the people. And we must make our people accept the responsibility of being that sovereignty. That means they have to quit voting for people just because they have an R or a D behind their names. They must vote for people based on the ideas that the individual has, the understanding that they have, and how they are going to try to approach the problems in Washington. Right. That's the way we have to vote. Now, I can stand up here all evening and address each of the problems that I've witnessed and each of the solutions that I have. Unfortunately, I only have 7 minutes, and that time's about up. But I can say this with certainty, that I believe that the further we deviate from the Constitution of the United States, the worse our problems are going to become. We have already deviated from it so much. I can talk specifically about trade agreements being actual treaties, but yet we call them agreements. So we only have to have 50%, 51% votes instead of the 2/3 required by the Constitution of the Senate. In other words, they keep twisting, turning, and ignoring the Constitution. So I believe that we must do these things. Someone must go to Washington to do all within their power to awaken our leaders. Make them take off their Republican and Democratic blinders and start looking at problems from a holistic point of view. That's what we have to do. And that's what I plan to do with whatever possibility, whatever it takes to wake it up. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, well, would you mind tapping on the speaker's desk? I said, let me tell you, if I thought he was trying to pass some ridiculous law that was outside the Constitution, I'd probably jump up and down on his desk. Now, it's a shame that it's gone that far that that's what it takes. It would be nice if our Congress operated the way it's supposed to operate. It would be really nice. But it's not. So sometimes it takes somebody who's a little crazy to go up there and say, look, we must stop the stupidity. I love this country. I served in the Air Force during the Vietnam War. And I know I have friends who died in Vietnam. And to this day, I cannot look their spouses and their children in the eye and tell them that their father died for a nation who no longer cares about its people. Now, I don't know if you all are familiar with the concept. I'm sure the attorneys are. Okay? Democratic despotism. I may not be pronouncing that correctly, but basically what it means is that we elect our representatives, but then they go to Washington and they don't listen to the people. They become the ultimate authority. And that's exactly where our nation has been going. Right. And I promise you we're not far from being absolute. So the Constitution Party, I believe, is the last vestige of hope for awakening the people and then awakening our leaders to the fact that the people, all the people, are what's necessary to have a Constitution-based democracy.